Intergot, am going to show how I will save Sony.
Well, before you get there,
That's awesome.
I've got my sexy pitch for this, right? It's very quick, right?
Okay.
And how I'm going to save Sony.
Oh,
First step, get Apple to buy Nintendo.
Okay.
Second step, get Disney to buy Apple.
Okay.
Third step, then you get Tencent to buy Disney.
Okay. Yep.
And fourth step, you get
like
Sony to buy Kemco. There you go.
I like it. I like it. I
Four
want to see
steps
that on the
to
whiteboard.
success.
So yes, Sony, feel free, take this as free advice from me. In 10-ish minutes, I'll pitch how I will save Sony. So, in every good pitch deck, you got to start with what the hell you're doing. What's the purpose of the pitch deck? And, this is all about strategy. This is centered on strategy. So I am going to cover two very core things in strategy. And I should call it out, strategy versus tactics. Tactics, that's just, go buy Square Enix, go buy EA. That's a tactic. That's not a strategy.
And if anyone's listening to this audio, you're going to miss out on the presentation. So please watch it on the YouTube.
We got a picture of Mike Tyson. And the quote is, everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah. We won't play the game of reading out everything on the screen. I think you're right, Swinny. This is one of the instances where, if you're listening to it on the podcast, probably stop and click on the link in the description. You go to the video podcast version. I think it's critical for this presentation, given that it's visual. But yeah, so my first point is strategy versus tactics. I'm talking about strategy. What is your competitive advantage? What are the macro factors? What are the resources at your disposal versus tactics? It's just what can you do right now? Getting an exclusive deal for the next Final Fantasy game. Great. That's not a strategy. That's a short-term thing. So I'm very much focused on strategy and focused on two very key concepts in strategy. So you don't. Oh, I pressed the button when I shouldn't have. Sorry.
What is on the show next week?
No, I saved it. I was thinking that I've got a button control to turn the slides.
Wow,
I'm thinking that's how advanced it is.
Was that a tactical mistake or a strategic mistake?
We'll talk about tactical mistakes as in GameSpot. And I'm calling you out GameSpot. In this stupid article about Sony buying EA or what if Sony bought EA? This is taking a knife to a gunfight. Taking a knife to a bazooka fight. Sony is like a 50th the size of Microsoft. If Sony goes down the path of buying studios, they're going to fuck themselves. Because if they buy one big studio or one big publisher, like Ubisoft, let's just say, or Square, that gives almost carte blanche access for Microsoft to say, oh, great, we'll just buy the rest. Because now you've opened up the argument that people will go, oh, Sony's doing it, so Microsoft's just doing whatever they want as well. And it's pretty hard to argue from a competitive perspective. So it makes zero sense for Microsoft to do that. So you're not going to see that in what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is strategy.
The ancient dragon.
So the first component of strategy that I'm talking about is it's actually a biblical story. It's in the book of Samuel. And it's this idea of a Philistine giant called Goliath who was defeated by a young David. Now, how is this possible when you have Goliath, who's huge, strong, full of armor, got a javelin, all these kind of things, against this weak David with no armor, nothing?
Did David have COVID?
No. The key here is that David used his strengths, his unique set of skills, right, in this component that he can actually beat Goliath. So David, what did he do? He was a shepherd for many, many years. So he honed... Go on.
I can tell you haven't played Dark Souls 2 by using this image. The Ancient Dragon's a friendly character.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I just wanted the visual. I just Googled what's the biggest Dark Souls character.
No, that's fine.
Did he train
going back to it, so
bunch of sheep?
This is a yes but on both of your accounts now. So definitely the show's called Yes But. But so David, going back to David, he's shepherd, and how would he ward off predators? Well, he would sling rocks at them. So he honed this skill. So when he was in armed conflict with Goliath, he chose not to engage in hand-to-hand combat, not to go up into the fisticuffs of David, but to hang back, to use his speed to run away from Goliath, and to grab a stone and hurl it into Goliath's head, and then chopping his head off in the biblical story. Which is very dark.
Wow, that's a little extreme.
It's literally what is in the Bible. So, my argument here is from a strategy point of view, it makes no sense to fight Microsoft. They got like $2 trillion market cap, where Sony is $0.1 trillion market cap. It's just an idiotic like process. So very much, you know, when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, okay, like, what are the strengths of Sony? What can they do? So the other component of strategy that I'm looking at is a Latin phrase, amicus meus, inimicus inimici mei, which translates into my friend, the enemy of my enemy.
I knew it.
That artwork is...
It's brilliant.
So my other component of the strategic vision that I have for what Sony could do to defeat Goliath Microsoft is they need to look at the landscape. So they're looking at, like, what are my strengths? How can I defeat Microsoft in, you know, the way that I can win fights? Then the other component is, well, who hates Microsoft as well? Who actually could I join with? So my view is not, hey, we could buy something. That's dumb. Like, you know, you're always going to lose that battle against Microsoft. They've got deep pockets. My view is, who can you partner with? Who can you get in bed with? Who can complement you? So, you know, I had a very long list. You know, first I started with the Zuck, you know, huge company, but, you know, don't think it really makes sense. Like, you know, everyone hates the Zuck, and the alignment with games, I think ultimately doesn't really make sense. And you're getting this, you know, mismatch of sizes, kind of looking out in the market, thinking about, you know, natural competitors of Microsoft. I thought of Netflix. You know, like, yeah, they're both pushing into that streaming space. You know, I could imagine Netflix is a bit nervous about what Microsoft's doing. You know, who knows? Game Pass, maybe it'll be Movie Pass next. The other person that I thought, and the other entity, Google, well, you know, no, they're hopeless. I got to move on from them very quickly. Then I come across this man, and it did make me think. So on the screen, I have Shohei Yoshida. So if you don't know who this person is, he's currently the head of the indie effort at Sony, but he's actually now, well, previously was the first party studios head. So, you know, looking after all the big studios that are really driving some of the you know, competitive advantage that Sony has. And, you know, it kind of got me thinking some of the stuff that this guy's been saying recently. And it got me thinking. It got thinking about some stuff. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think like a single image tells me anything or what's gonna happen, but this image really does stick with me. This idea of God of War on a Steam Deck, more and more PlayStation games coming to Steam.
I see where this is going.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I'm thinking, Steam, okay, very PC-centric. Don't really care about the console. Sony, very console-centric. Don't really care about the PC, but both parties kind of look at the other and go, you know, we don't want to lose our advantage in PC. Like, we're the big dogs in PC. We make billions of dollars every year, and, you know, we don't want people buying games on Epic Game Store or the Microsoft Store. So, you know, we're keeping our eye on this Game Pass thing. This could really hurt our business. And we don't want to make it portable that just becomes a portable Game Pass machine that we're paying and losing money on every hardware unit and not getting the money on the other side. And PlayStation, you know, they're like Sony, like the PlayStation business is more than 1/3 of all of Sony now. It's like a cash cow, but also, you know, very alarming for PlayStation to lose its position. So it just got me thinking, and I'm like, I could see a world where Sony and Valve get together and say, we're going to work together. We're going to bring our worlds closer together to ward off the competitors. And my view is, why not? Why couldn't you have this? You could have potentially a subscription service combining some of the best Valve and Sony libraries, having day one exclusives on PlayStation 5 and PC, having cloud saving between the two, and you have this massive library of PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games, and PlayStation 3 games. Imagine if you could bring a bunch of these on Steam directly and vice versa on the PlayStation, portably on the Steam Deck, and then maybe even a light version of Steam itself on the PlayStation 5. And the future of Sony could potentially be to be in bed with Valve and Steam. So that is my pitch to save Sony. This is my idea.
I like it.
Any questions? Any challenges?
Yeah, I still don't get the analogy with David and Goliath.
Oh, shut up.
No, but that's okay. Other than that, I think it's flawless.
I've got a couple of things though. First of all, this is assuming that Sony needs saving, right? They're obviously very, very well established.
Well, to be fair though, they did lose like 20% of their market cap in a single day, like when the announcement happened. So
also the question of the enemy is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Valve has actually been pretty in the past actually worked very well with Microsoft and actually been very complimentary, if that's not complimentary, but like they're actually like praising them in the past. So now obviously that's front versus behind the scenes. So I was just for Valve to be considered an enemy Microsoft is just a bit of a weird concept, but I do like the pitch though. So.
Yeah, but I would say that it was easy for Valve to be very friendly with Microsoft when they need Microsoft. If Microsoft said, hey, Steam, we don't like what they're doing on their platform, something about it is a bit dodgy, so you can no longer install Steam on Windows, right? Like their business goes like almost under straight away, right? It's massive for them. So I get what you're saying, but it is in their interest, in their corporate interest, to be cool with Sony. They've got way more to lose. Sorry, with Microsoft. They've got way more to lose than vice versa, right? And this is also prior to a world of like Microsoft executing well in the game distribution space on Windows, even though they own it.
So
they are like, no, but it's changing with Windows 11, dude. Like they're building in, basically they're building in Xbox into Windows 11 at a first world level, right? So there is a possibility people look at it and go, oh, Minecraft, yeah, I can buy that there. And then, it grows out of there, Game Pass. So like as friendly as they might be, like honestly, from a corporate level, they are an enemy, 100%. They're probably the number one enemy of like Steam, Valve now. So
amazing pitch. Love the graphics. At some point, I thought you were going to say that getting the Ashen Mist heart off the Ancient Dragon was going to be the way to save Sony. But you swerved me there. So I appreciate that. Dark Souls 2 inclusion. But very well. I love it.
Very cool. I loved it. Yeah, and I love the presentation itself, the graphics, and for podcast readers, please check it out.
Podcast readers. Can we?
Listeners.
Maybe we should
really
call
tired.
the show podcast readers. to the podcast readers. All right,
yes, but podcast readers.
Oh, right
I was actually hoping you guys would attack me more for this thing. So
no, I think it's cool. I think it's awesome that you took the time to actually do something like this.
I think it's awesome. Sony I don't know if it's enough, but
enough. What do you mean?
As in, I think Sony they could probably do some more partnerships, but I think this is a great one to kick things off.
I just think it's like a left field thing. I think it's like, I look, I haven't seen someone talk about it. I haven't seen someone put it out there in the universe. So, future people, when Sony and Valve have announced this massive partnership, and then they go, some weird dude on the internet predicted this and laid out the idea. Well, I'm going to say, I told you so. You're never going to hear the end of I told you so.
God, if that happened, you were going to be the most unsufferable person to be around for like 6 months.
I think we need to not do a podcast for 6 months.
I'm going to change my name to the Sony Valve guy.
To the prophets.
Yeah, hear my future pitches. I'll have them on Patreon as exclusive episodes. All right, cool. All right, well, let's wrap up the show.